Got it. Got it. Thank you all for being here today. We got lots going on. We got a big crowd. Oh, I better turn the camera. Hi, everybody. Welcome, everybody. And I apologize for my voice. No, I'm not sick. The weather changes and all that kind of stuff, but don't worry. I am loaded today, so we're good. So to start our meeting, if my clicker will work. Don't you love that I'm the one in charge of technology today? It's time to say hi to two people you don't know. So here in the room, you got to meet two people. If you're online, you need to direct message two people. You got 1 minute, go. So we got phones going, we got all kinds of stuff today. So each week we try to focus on one of our MVPs or our different things. Today's our mission, which is hard to see, part of that top line. Our goal is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. What I love on this, the top two are the only one dealing with business and dollars. The other three are the most important. And I love that that's our focus here. And those of us who've gone to trainings nationwide or regionally lately, it's cool to see that that's the focus. So today, we've got 3 different things going on. It's going to be bouncing around a lot. So a lot of cool info. But I think, Nicole, is Jordan on right now? Oh, never mind. I'm jumping ahead too quick. We always have our culture winner each week. Last week, it was Justin Johnson. And this week, he is nominated. Let me find this. Cassie Jones, is she here today? Yes. Come on up. So while she comes up, here's what he said. Cassie has been a great addition to the KW family and is constantly lifting the spirits of those around her. She shows genuine interest in other people, smiles, is a good listener, and makes others feel important. Such an awesome person who has great potential for a blossoming career in real estate. Congratulations, Cassie. Oh, you don't know.
Oh, thank you.
So Cassie gets to keep the Steffes Award for the week. This is the traveling trophy that goes around. And forever, she gets to keep the small Steffes trophy. So this goes on your desk or somewhere. What I would do, I would stick that on your car hood or your dashboard.
Yeah.
That way it's just there all the time. Let's give her a congratulations. So we have 3 different things. The first Tuesday of each month, we try to do a special guest. This time we've got actually 3. So we're going to start with Jordan Freed, who I think is probably on the line. Is he there?
He is. Can you make him co-host?
I can. Maybe. I need to stop sharing, correct? Oh,
There we go.
And hey, Jordan, sorry, we're getting there. More. Yes.
All right, we good?
Good. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. And good morning, Greater Springfield. I am excited to talk with you all this morning. I've got about, I think, 10 to 15 minutes and just wanted to dump some knowledge into your hearts and minds. First off, my name is Jordan Freed. I'm a MAPS executive coach. I actually am in your region. So I've been in, I live in Lawrence, Kansas, which also means that, like many of you, I'm a fellow Chiefs fan. In fact, Dan Holt, Jen Davis, and I have a ongoing group text that all we talk about are all things Chiefs and how much we detest the Cowboys. So for those of you,
disconnect him?
I can't help it. I guess we just like winning teams. But anyway, I'm going to be coming there in 2 weeks. Actually, I'll be there on the 19th for we're doing a mastermind called Shift Proofing Your Business. And on the 20th, I'm doing a full day session on a lifestyle design course that I've created called My Freed Life. And what I wanted to do today, if you don't mind, is, I am a coach, not a consultant. And there's a very, very, very distinct difference. And the difference between a coach and a consultant is someone you pay to give you answers, right? And a coach is someone that you pay to ask you questions. And so with your permission today, what I would like to do is to ask you all some questions. And regardless of if you decide to join me for My Freed Life or the Shift Proofing Your Business, I want you to get some real value out of today. And so to start, I want to share one of my all-time favorite quotes, because what I have come to know as a coach, and it's both fascinating and frustrating, is that people know what to do and they know how to do it as it relates to making their lives, their business, whatever it is, better. They know what to do and they know how to do it. In fact, if you're somebody that wants to become a coaching leader, I would encourage you to write this down. Everything in achievement boils down to the 2 M's: mindset and mechanics. Mechanics is knowing what to do and how to do it. And the solution to that is always training. Mindset is taking what you know and how to do it and doing it consistently over time. Quality long-term results require quality long-term actions or quality long-term focus. And so what I have been endlessly fascinated by is the question, what prevents us from crushing it? What is it that ultimately gets in our way? And so what's different about my approach versus others is that I'm not really one of those pump up, rah guys. I'm more or less somebody that likes to get very practical about the approach that you take to designing your life. And I would encourage you all right now to just write down the answer to the question that I just asked you. As it relates to your own life or your own business, what is preventing you from all out crushing it? Just take a minute and answer that question. Now, can all of you see my screen? Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Perfect. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes, and it comes from Tim Ferriss. And it says, perhaps it's time for you to take a temporary break for pursuing goals to find the knots in the garden hose that once removed will make everything else better and easier. It's incredible what can happen when you stop driving with the emergency brake on. See, my all-time favorite coaching formula comes from the inner game of tennis, and it's called performance equals potential minus interference. Performance equals potential minus interference. So as it relates to your performance, what is it that is getting in the way? What is the interference? What is the knot in the garden hose? Now, I don't know about any of you, but I have 2 small children, and the oldest one, her name is Leah. This isn't actually her, but she's about as cute as this little girl. And every time I have to explain something, I always like to do it through the lens of, can I explain it to an 8-year-old? Can I simplify it to where an 8-year-old would even understand it? And so when I ask this question, what is a life by design? I want you to think that you have to answer it as if an 8-year-old is asking you the question. So take a second there, and whether you're in the training room or you're online, answer that question. What is a life by design? Now remember, I'm a coach, not a consultant, so do the work. What's a life by design? Now, here's what I've come to know. A true life by design is one where you have consciously identified and installed your own belief systems. A true life by design is one where you have consciously identified and installed your own belief system. See, when I used to ask people like, what's a life by design? They would say things like, oh, a mountain house or a lake house, or I want to drive this car, blah, 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 blah. All those things are great. And yet I would also hear, or what I would most always hear is an external vision, not an internal vision. It's where they live externally, not internally. And see, the superpower of a human being is their ability to identify and install their own belief systems. It's to look at where you are today and where you want to go and ask this question. What is the belief that if I identified it, installed it, would get me from where I am to where I want to go in the easiest path possible? So identifying and installing belief systems is the name of the game, but there's also this other process. And that is, what are the belief systems that I need to uninstall? See, that's the interference that I was referring to earlier. What are the things that are ultimately getting in your way? Now, what I know is that your performance is created through your relationship to possibility. You're always performing in a way that is dictated by what you believe is possible for you. And see, your possibility, the relationship you have to possibility, is ultimately created by your programming. Now, programming is the software of a human being. It's your beliefs and habits. One of my all-time favorite books, it's one that I think should be required reading of many, many people on the face of the planet, is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And in that book, he cites that about 95% of our thoughts, feelings, and actions are at the subconscious level. They happen at the level of our programming. Now, this has been the greatest discovery of my coaching career. Programming happens in two ways, nature and nurture. See, nature is what you're born with. Like, I was born left-handed. I didn't go to left-handed school. I didn't attend left-handed kindergarten. I was born that way. I was programmed that way. Now, the other type of programming is nurture programming. Nurture programming is what you learned. Now, here's what I discovered, is that there's two types of nurture programming. Conscious, meaning I chose. I consciously identified and installed this belief or habit. And then there's unconscious, meaning I did not choose. The greatest example of this that I've heard is Gary Keller. And he was like 18, 19 years old at the time. He said he was away at college at Baylor University, and he looked down one day and he was chewing on his fingernails. And he asked himself, why do I do that? Why do I chew on my fingernails? And about a month later, he's sitting at home. He's back in Houston looking at his parents in their house, and he looks over at his dad, and guess what his dad's doing? He's sitting there chewing on his fingernails, and it hit him. I didn't choose this. I picked it up from my dad unconsciously. Greatest discovery of my coaching career, ladies and gentlemen, is that most of the interference that you are experiencing is happening at the programmed level. You picked it up, you didn't consciously choose it, and it's acting in opposition to the person that you ultimately intend to become. Now, what I want you to think about moving forward is what I call the Tinkerbell effect. See, if you've ever seen Peter Pan, you already know how this works. What happens if you don't believe in Tinkerbell? She dies. And your dreams, the hopes, the wishes, the goals, your vision is just like Tinkerbell. if you've got interference that you don't know is there, and it's acting in opposition to what you ultimately want, to who you want to become, eventually that dream is going to die. And this afternoon, I'm going to walk through a free 1-hour course. I call it My Freed Mind. Many of you are already registered, and it's over Zoom. It's virtual, and you can join me. It's at 1 o'clock. Even if you can't join, I would encourage you to register because 2 reasons. 1, we'll send you the recording and you can watch it anytime you want. 2, if you decide to join us on the full day session, this is kind of the prequel. This is what will set the stage for what we're going to cover. But what I want you to get out of today, outside of what I've already covered, is this. And it's, again, the knowledge of a child. See, I have a client, her name is Kate Conroy. This is her daughter, Ebby. And this is about a year ago. And they were on a walk, and here's what Ebby did. She sat down, got into a meditative position, and Kate asked her, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm clearing my mind and putting dreams in my head." See, I want to be your guide. I want to help you to clear your mind, your heart, your soul of interference so that you can put your dreams in your head. So I hope that you'll join me. Now, I don't know how much more time I have, but as always, I like to get an aha or two, mostly because, I want to know that I've added any bit of value. If you didn't get anything out of my little conversation with you here today, then just make something up. I'm from Kansas. I'm very sensitive, so don't hurt my feelings. What did you get out of this conversation here today? Just 1 or 2 things, and then I'll let you guys get right back to your meeting.
Anybody, because the cameras are on you all.
Performance equals potential minus interference. I love that.
That's it. See, it's not about knowing what to do and how to do it. People actually suck at following advice. They're not good at it. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is that they have insufficient desire. It's that would be nice to have instead of I must have it. But here's the second thing is if you aren't in awareness of what is acting against you, it feels like you're being drowned. It feels like you've got something around your neck. It feels like you can't quite you're stuck in the mud. And here's the quote that My Freed Life is ultimately built on. Write this down, I'll say it slowly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how to take the unconscious nurture programming and make you aware of it. Let's get one more and then I'll jump off, and hopefully I'll get to see you all this afternoon right back here on My Freed Journey. Interference and programming from Tammy. Thank you for that. Let's get one more. What did you get out of our little conversation here today?
Jordan, one of the main things I got was the life by design. I've always heard people say it's the lake house, it's this, it's that. I even screenshotted what you put up there because it's about the mental so that those other things can be a possibility. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, you have dual citizenship in this world. There's the inner world and the outer world. And regardless of what you believe, we all came from the same place. We came from the infinite. And if you think about it like this, you're an infinite being. You came from the infinite. But if your thinking is that a life by design is made up of things that are finite, things that you can purchase, it's like planting an avocado tree and praying for apples. It's not going to work. And I'll give you this and then I'll jump off. I can talk all day, so it's kind of my passion here. An infinite life, a life of fulfillment, is lived for 4 things. It's learning as much as you can. It's growing as much as you can. It's loving as much as you can. And it's giving as much as you can. That's what you were created for. That is the infinite game. So Greater Springfield, like I said, for those of you, I didn't mention this earlier, if you sign up for the free session, or I'm sorry, if you sign up for the full session of My Freed Life, by tomorrow at 5 o'clock, you get free access to the mastermind on the 19th. So you get both events, but the deadline is tomorrow, October 5th at 5 o'clock. So they have all the information that you would need to do so. I trust that I'll get to see you all either this afternoon or in person. And thank you for the opportunity to share just a small bit of my life's work with you today. I trust you all have an amazing meeting. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. So Nicole has thrown the links up in the chat, and we also have those on the Facebook page. And was it in the know email yesterday, Nicole?
Sure was.
Very cool. Okay, now what's cool is that is a great segue to who we're talking to next. How many of you have joined Keller Williams since the beginning of 2020? Let me see hands. I'd say over half the room. So what's cool is, well, I don't know that it's cool, but we realized some of you have not heard the story of how some of our people got to where they are. So we want to start bringing the stories back to you so you can kind of hear this and see these things from a real life perspective. So please welcome our special guest today, Adam Grady. How are you? Really good. Come on up. What a rock star. Oh my gosh, yeah. So I don't know if you want to count those dates. October's gonna be crazy, as you'll see when we get on the calendar stuff. But October 19th is the shift class and October 20th. And that's only a half day, I think, right, Nicole? The shift?
I'm sorry.
The shift class, that's a half day, correct?
That is it's a short segment. So yeah, I believe so. The My Freed Life is a full day. And I will tell you, if you click on that and you are registering, it is not here at the Market Center. We actually are at RC Event Center again. It just hasn't been updated yet. So RC Event Center for actually My Freed Life for that full day.
And gang, your calendar is going to get full for October because I've looked at what's coming up and it's going to be crazy. So anyway, and as you know, on the first week of each month, we try to do the guest first and the details and the stats are at the end if we have time, because we'd rather have more time with our guests. So Adam, we kind of went over some questions I want to kind of have you share with people. Can you first kind of tell us who you are? What's your family, your social? Do you want to copy this too?
Yeah. I really looked at it.
I know. That's what I made too.
I was born and raised in Springfield.
Okay.
I have a wife and 2 kids. Hayden is 12 and Reagan is 8.
And what grades are those?
6 and 3rd.
6 and 3rd. So you're about to the point where
I'm gonna graduate 6th grade math again.
yeah. And their schedule takes over
It's
your
tough.
schedule pretty quick.
Yep. We my son travels, plays travel soccer on 2 different teams, and we are going just about every weekend.
Yeah.
So
I had travel volleyball. I did not miss. Well,
it's tough.
it was fun. Okay, so here's something I heard at my first family reunion ever. You only get 18 summers. And that hit me so hard. It's like, holy cow, you got to enjoy every aspect of where your kids are because it goes fast. And then all of a sudden they're out, but they are on their own bill after they get out. So that's kind of cool too.
But if you're lucky.
Yes, well, that's true. So what did you do before you did real estate?
College. So
Here in town?
went to MSU and immediately got my real estate license. I dropped out between my junior and senior year.
It went straight into this.
Never
So
went back. You probably heard my dad screaming, but didn't realize what it was.
I'm sure he's happy now. So tell us what you started in real estate and kind of what the major steps you had through that.
So I started working for Wayne Frederick. Some of you know Wayne, maybe. Wayne used to own the Remax office, and he's a coach and consultant now. So a really, really great guy. But I was getting into my like 300, 400 level classes at MSU. And, before like a 100 level class, they offer like 12 times a week.
Yeah.
Right. You could pretty much go anytime you want. And then you start getting up into these specialty levels and it's like Wednesday at 3 p.m. Like, that's it. And so I was having a really hard time holding a job. And so I started working as a night janitor at what was the Remax building.
Mhm.
And just, then it happened, you know.
What happened?
So I worked there for a couple of years and the summer time came around and Wayne was like, hey, we've got a spot in the office if you want to work at the front desk on Saturdays, because they didn't want to pay their front desk girl overtime. And they started opening up on Saturdays. Like the market was starting to heat up. So this has been like
So what years was this?
2002, maybe.
Okay.
2001.
This is right when-
2000, 2001.
This is right when that French country boom was about to hit.
Oh,
Sorry
yeah.
about
Springfield,
that.
French country.
Yes.
And,
Springfield, French country.
And then I started working in the office during the week and just kind of helping and doing grunt work, stuff people don't want to do, like $8 an hour. I'll do whatever you want me to do work.
Uh-huh.
And I met Janet Parsons and she had lost her assistant. And so Wayne said, will you go down to Janet's office and try to help her get caught up? And I worked there for maybe like 2 days and she's like, how much is Wayne paying you? $8 an hour. And she's like, I'll pay you 10. I'm,
Wow.
so I parted ways with Wayne really quickly.
So what kind of things were you doing to catch her up?
Oh, just, I mean, anything she wanted to do, running a sign, washing her car, like just, when I say grunt work,
Yeah.
right? Everything had to be faxed over to the board back then, right? All the forms had to be filled out and nobody wants to do that. So I did a lot of that.
And aside on that, you did your contracts and your listing agreements in triplicate, white, yellow, and pink.
Mhm.
And then you
They
had,
were all carbon copies.
yeah, so you could just hand one to this was before DocuSign, Dotloop, any of those things. And if you did a listing, you had to fax it to the board and they had to put it into the system.
And you were just at their mercy whenever they felt like putting it in.
So if you did a listing Friday around noon, you'd fax it in and it might go live by Monday afternoon because they're backed up.
You just have to sit and wait.
Yeah, and there was a fight when we went to what's called broker look, where we had people, because they're like, I don't want to do that. That's what the board should be doing. So anyway, people always hate change.
They hate change.
So you were doing those things.
I was doing those things and I just forgot. I remember the forms cabinets.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you say that, just thought about that. And so I started with Janet and Janet is the one that helped me get my license and she's the reason I ended up taking a semester off and never going back.
Really?
Yeah. But it all turned out okay.
So how long were you with Wayne?
Between 2 and 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went
So I
to
got my license in March of '03.
March of '03. I was at a training that Wayne did about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was actually talking about Adam. And he said, whenever he's teaching a class, Adam was just there. And he's like, what are you doing? He says, I'm just learning. And he just was
I was
absorbing.
fascinated with him.
Yeah, and Wayne's incredible.
He's incredible.
He's also a great golfer.
He's a great
He's an
golfer. And it's crazy. We have him right in our backyard, right?
Yeah, right across there.
Yeah.
So his goal as Wayne started was to always be done working by 3 every day, and only 3 days a week or 4.
4 days a week. Yep.
It was like systems. In fact, he was with Keller for a while, wasn't
He
he?
was a Keller for a long time. And, when I came back to Keller, I'm like, gosh, they've got all Wayne's material. Well, no, Wayne had all Keller's
Wayne had all
material.
theirs.
I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
And Wayne is I know we're going on a crazy aside here. Wayne is a nationwide coach. And at that training, he said it's because of the stuff he learned from Gary
Mhm.
about living your bigger life.
Mhm.
So it's kind of cool how the things we have are mimicked everywhere. Okay, so you're working with Janet.
Yep.
What was the point where you went, holy cow, I just need to do this my own way?
So, the market's exploding, right? And I don't know if you guys know where the Remax building is on Fremont. It's a huge building. And they were so busy that they had to move into another building. So they took over a building over next to Fidelity on Kingsley by Zios.
Okay,
You know where that Fidelity office is? They took over an office over there. And so on Thursday nights, I cleaned the building Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And on Thursday nights, I would clean that building. And there was a couple in there named Jim and Becky Todd. And it didn't matter what time I went to clean the building. They were there, right? 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, midnight. All I had to do was clean the building and I could come anytime after 6 p.m., but had to be gone by 6 a.m. And the big building took me about 6 or 7 hours, right? So it just kind of depended on when I wanted to start. I just had to be gone by 6 a.m. And the little building, it was really easy. And Jim and Becky used to own a commercial cleaning company. They did all John King Hammond's work. So their building was always spotless. Like I didn't hardly have to do anything. Like, sometimes they'd be like, just go home, son, it's fine, And I would sit there and talk to them, and I was telling them who I was working for, and they're like, oh, you can do bigger and better and da, 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 da. So I did an open house for Janet. My first open house was in Cape Point, and I sold it. Was this easy? To this day, the only open house I ever sold. I swear to God. And, but I thought it was, I was like, this is fantastic.
We do this every week.
And so I was telling Jim and Becky about it, and they were like, they couldn't believe it. And they're like, you gotta come work with us. And so they kept telling me, you know, you sure you want to do this? You know, every week or so I would see them, they would just kind of tease me about it. And then they ended up leaving and going to Keller Williams. And they called me and said, hey, we're leaving RE/MAX and we're going to Keller Williams. Are you with us or not? I'm like,
Decision time.
I know. And I decided to go with them. And
As part of their
as
team or
a
just
buyer's agent.
as a
Yep.
buyer's agent?
Yep. Yep.
So how long did you do that?
3 years. Yep. And then I went out on my own in 06.
06. Okay, so we're getting close to the scary time.
Not yet, right?
Right.
And I mean, I got my blinders on,
Uh-huh.
right? I didn't know it was scary time.
Right.
You know, like Lehman Brothers are getting, you know, closing down on Wall Street, and that's all over the news, right? And I'm 100% financing an $80,000 car. Like I just been thinking, you know, like it doesn't affect me, right? Look at all the money I'm making.
Yeah.
You know, and there was all these economic indicators at the time that you look back in hindsight, and you're like, gosh, you know, but I didn't know any better, you know, and that's kind of how I built my business. You know, I didn't know any better. And so foreclosures were coming up and I just assumed that's normal, right? And
Right.
just didn't know any better.
Mhm.
And I think ignorance is really what got me through the whole downturn, you know, and we grew and grew during the downturn.
In fact, that makes me want to share a slide. Nicole, let's see. I can probably get this back. So I started real estate in 2007. So, and like Adam was saying, the world, as I was at Coldwell, we'd have team meetings and there were car wash companies coming in the back lot washing everybody's cars. And title companies had extravagant lunches. I mean, it was a crazy world. And all of a sudden, things trickled away to where there was nothing anymore.
Mm.
But what's cool, if this thing will cooperate with me, hey, that's you. This is a slide from my old Coldwell notebook. And look at this from 2009 to 2018. Keller is this little red square. And look what happened while everybody else was going down. And that's where I started seeing Adam Grady, Dan Holt, Adam Grady. No.
No,
But
it's true.
But it was, what did Keller do during that time that nobody else was doing? Because this is crazy. And again, this came from another company's folder that I still have upstairs. And look at the dramatic change of what was going on.
We were taking market share.
How?
So, you know, the old guard, I would say the old guard in real estate, there was this big generational gap when I started.
Yeah.
Between the younger people and the older people that had been around forever. And I think they came to they weren't going to change anything the way, you know, that they were doing, right? We're
Right.
still advertising, spending every nickel we have on the newspaper,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
right? And they just, you know, were all in on print media,
Liner ads,
Yeah.
remember those?
and they weren't
You would
about,
pay for a 2-line thing in the newspaper telling the details on your house for like $20 a week that nobody looked at.
and everybody had an ad bill, remember your ad bill?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were unwilling to make changes. And I think at Keller, you know, it was kind of a younger crowd and we were all, we were video and social media and, you know, we were kind of guerrilla marketing, you know. We were the first people to do ISAs or really the first time I ever heard about, you know, regimented lead gen. You know, they were just doing things other people weren't doing.
And the other people were like, because I was part of the other people, they gotta be doing something wrong. There's something shady.
Mhm.
You all were just following the systems. You were, what's that? Lee's nodding. I mean, that was
Yeah,
the,
and it's, you know, at those events, Lee would remember, he and I got our license about the same time. You know, it was almost embarrassing to be from Keller Williams, right? Because we were shunned by so many people, you know.
well, because they saw this and they
Yep.
thought, there's something wrong.
Something illegal's going on.
Something's weird here.
It's true. I shared an office with Dan Holt. Dan was, when I worked for Jim Becky Todd, he was their biggest client. And
Okay.
Dan was building about 100 homes a year.
Dan was a builder right before the whole thing happened.
And so Dan was good business, Like, he was our biggest client. And so when I left, I found out Dan was getting his license and I'm like, ooh, I gotta keep this guy really close to me so that when the market comes back, next year, 6
Yes.
months later, or
Yeah.
whatever, and he starts building again, I can keep selling his houses.
Uh-huh.
So that was my whole strategy. So I ran
Got
to Evan Deschamps, who was our team leader at the time. I'm like, hey, you gotta call this guy. And I'll scoot my desk over and he can office with me and I can keep him really close to me so that when the market comes back
How funny.
and he keeps building, I can sell all his homes. So,
How'd that work for you?
yeah, it didn't work out so well. It worked out great.
Yeah. Just not the path you thought it was gonna go.
No, but I mean, I had just become an independent agent. Dan had just got his license and we kind of cut our teeth together, kind of figuring it out and learning and teaching each other stuff. And, Dan was one of the first people that I was close to hire an assistant, and so it was me and Dan's assistant in our office,
Oh,
It was a ballsy move at the time.
Yeah.
Like the market's really down and he's paying somebody $35,000 a year to be his assistant, so.
because most teams, the idea of a team was still rare, but they were getting rid of people.
They were getting rid of people
They were.
everywhere.
And most companies did not have the admin, they just had buyer's agent, other agent, and then all of a sudden, there's not enough volume to take care of people.
Correct. And so, the lead would start taking all the leads. The lead agent would start taking all the leads and all
Right.
the buyer's agents were just left by the wayside.
Yeah.
It was just interesting times.
So, and one reason I wanted to have you in was because it feels like we're 2006, 2007, like there could be something changing. And I thought it was cool, your story of you just, number one, having the blinders on is a good thing, I think, sometimes to look forward. Another interesting stat, there have been so many people get into real estate. In the last 5 years, we've had 168 brokerages join GSBOR.
Wow.
That's insane when you think about that many brokerages.
Mhm.
But as things change a little, what can you tell new people that they got to do to get established? Because I think we're going to see this again. I think we're going to see that little red square go up and up because of what we're doing. But what's the main advice you give people who are 1 or 2 years in?
Just having more conversations, right? So, when I think back about when I was, sharing an office with Dan, right? Like I'm literally rubbing 2 nickels together, right? To try to make things work.
Pay for that $80,000 car.
Right? It was as much as my house paid, right? To look
Oh my
good,
gosh.
right? I thought I did, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was a limiting belief, you don't need it. And I couldn't afford newspapers where everybody was at, right? I couldn't
Right.
afford a billboard, right? I couldn't, that ad bill just made me cringe, right? I can't have an ad bill.
Yeah.
And so what am I going to do? So I held at least 2 open houses every single week. And they're free, don't cost anything. Sometimes I held other people's open houses, right? That was really not a thing back
Right.
then. I would get called from kind of that old guard, would find out I was in somebody else's house opening up and they would report me. But now we just celebrate it. We all share open houses, right? But back then, that was not a thing
Yeah.
at all. That was free, didn't cost me anything. The conversations were free. The phone calls were free. So I was doing things that weren't costing me any money in order to get business.
Mhm.
And so those conversations led to contracts, right? And I figured that out and got really regimented about, I love coming here and I love seeing everybody. Team meeting just gets in the way of my lead gen time,
Uh-huh.
right? And my lead gen is so regimented in my life. My daily life is very boring. I could wake up and do the exact same thing all day long, right? But this is my lead gen time, so I'm on the phone for 2 to 3 hours every single morning making calls. It doesn't cost me anything, right? But it's what leads to all of our
Okay,
business.
so you got a team of umpteen people,
22
but you are still making calls.
every day. Yep. Yeah, if I can plug Jordan really quick. Jordan was an ISA in our expansion office in Wichita,
Really?
an absolute freaking rock star. And like when we would go to events like Austin, like Jordan would be my first phone call, let's go to dinner, right?
Uh-huh.
He's so smart. I paid Jordan $30,000 last year in coaching fees, and he's not even my coach, just to consult and coach our team.
Really?
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. And we never talk about real estate. It's the best part about it,
Really?
Yeah. He's really, really good. So if you guys have an opportunity to sign up for that, he's just an
That's gonna be a good
absolute
one.
rock
So
star.
one thing you just said is interesting. Conversations lead to contracts.
Mhm.
And that's something that I think is kind of cool.
Well, and you asked me for the advice that I would be doing right now if I was a new agent, or if I really pictured myself being in this business 10 years from now or 20 years from now, right? I just talk to more people than you do. That's the only difference. Like, there's nothing special I'm doing. I don't have a magic pill, right? our ad budget's about $4,000 a month, right? And we're doing $250,000 in commissions a month on average, and my ad budget's
But
$4,000.
you're having a lot of conversations.
We're having a lot of conversations, you know, so, but I'm not buying leads, I'm not buying leads on Zillow or like, not doing all the things you guys think you have to do
Right.
in order to go out and build a big business. It's just smiling and dialing. That's what we talk about.
Smiling and dialing.
Yeah,
Very cool.
you know, so who do I call, right? Just start calling your sphere, you know, and checking in on them. Well, I don't have a sphere. Well, everybody has a sphere.
Mhm.
You know, and I tell people on my team, I'm like, get your checkbook out and start seeing who you write checks to and who considers you to be their client, right? So call your mechanic, call your insurance agent, call your dentist, right? The people that say, well, Adam's my client,
Uh-huh.
right? So I start calling them first, right? Those are the easiest phone calls to make because they're like, hey, how's it
They're
going?
gonna
Right?
answer you.
It's the same thing if you sold a house to somebody and they called you to, you know, they work at Toyota selling cars, right?
Mhm.
And they call you to see if you have any car needs, right? But you sold a house to them last year, you're excited they're calling you, right?
Right.
These are simple conversations and all you're doing is checking in. How's everything going? And I think a lot of times it's just these limiting beliefs, you know, he talks about unclogging the water hose, right?
Uh-huh.
It's so true.
I thought that was a great
It's all
thing.
in our head,
Yeah.
Mike, that we're unwilling to make these calls because we think we're gonna upset somebody. You know, I mentioned the guy at Toyota. If you bought a Toyota 2 years ago, has your car dealer called you, checked on you? Or how's your car running? Do you need anything? Can we set you up for an oil change, right? Well, yeah, but did the calls upset you? No, I mean, the calls are really simple to make. Just, hey, calling to check in. How's everything going? How's your house? Do you need anything?
Okay, here's a great one in about a month. Call people, say, hey, winter's coming. If you have a crawl space, it may be time to close those vents. Well, and some people say you should never, whatever.
Just.
But you're coming from contribution, you're adding value to
And
them.
it doesn't matter the excuse. And they say, well, hey, how's the market going? It's inevitably, they always ask me, I don't have to bring it up.
Exactly.
It's going really great, Mike. Why do you ask?
Oh, that's great.
Yep. And just
Why do you ask?
be quiet,
Awesome.
right? And you'll find out, oh, well, my wife's grandmother just died. We're thinking about selling our house, right?
Uh-huh.
Or we were kind of thinking about moving to acreage, right? They'll tell you like what's
What brought that up?
deep down in there, right? You know, Jordan will talk about, he talks about water skiing and scuba diving, water skiing conversations, right? Up here,
Okay.
real surface level,
Uh-huh,
right? And going 3 deep and scuba diving with people,
got it.
right? And you start to learn a lot about them. And you take notes, and when it comes time to call them again next month, you just reopen the notes up and you continue the conversation. And it just, it
So the
becomes
notes,
so simple.
you gotta keep track of what you talk
You gotta
about.
keep track of what you talk about, right?
Otherwise you say the same things over and over and you sound like you're just.
Or you get your clients mixed up, or you get the stories mixed up,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's got a grandma and a dog, and right, everything starts to blend together,
Yeah.
right? So you gotta take really good notes and then call and check on them again.
And Command or whatever kind of system you're using has a note spot. Put that in the timeline. That way when it comes up again, you can see what you're doing.
And it's just about that front of mind awareness, right? I just wanna be your house guy.
Yeah.
I don't care what the issue is, right? I had a call Sunday night because my client's kid broke out their window by accident. It was 9:00 at night on Sunday. They're like, well, we don't know what to do. And it's a big patio door, right? Okay, here's a guy. Let me see if I can reach him right now. I got a hold of the manager at Ben Swinger Glass at 9:00 at night on
Really?
Sunday, yeah. But they think I'm a rock star for making it happen,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
they'll
so
keep you in mind.
That's
somebody they
exactly
know.
right. And so they're at the water cooler the next morning, talking about their night before, right? And their
Yeah.
realtor, you know, they bought a house from me 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? But came to the rescue and was able to help them. You know, I just want to be your house guy. If you have a house issue, just call me. And that's what I tell everybody. Just doesn't matter what it is, call me.
Yep.
I'll do whatever I can to help you.
Very cool.
And that coming from contribution keeps that front of mind awareness, and then the referrals start coming in.
So we got time for 2 questions. Anybody got a question for Adam? Let me look online.
Anybody awake still? Sorry.
No questions. That means we answered everything. Okay, so I have, so
Great.
Jordan's thing, what is your life by design?
My life by design is being able to do what I want, right? Like that defines a life by design to me.
But you keep a structured schedule.
But it's my structured schedule. It's a schedule that I designed that I think is best for me,
Got it.
right? It's not having somebody else tell me how my schedule needs to be. It's what I know is most effective, and I'm able to do it.
And that fits into what he was saying.
That's
I
exactly
love
right.
that quote he had on there.
So good. And tell me you're a girl dad, right? He's like
Yeah.
quoting Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, come on. Don't let Tinkerbell die.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a little That was in your face. If you're not chasing your dreams, Tinkerbell's gonna die.
Yeah, it's true, right? But I think you have the ability to log into Zoom today and listen to him a little bit more. He's just, if you guys have the opportunity, your schedule permits, he's just absolutely amazing.
And the thing on the 20th is gonna be great. So thank you for spending time with us today. I know it broke into your schedule. Okay, we had a lot of us at the leverage series, but we're right in our time frame budget anyway. So I think we're gonna save that for next week because there was so much, I can't write and I took notes. That's how good the leverage series was last week. So we're gonna do some of that next week. So those of you that are here for that, thank you for coming by, but please realize we'll have time for that. I wanna hit we got a bunch of different stuff going. Jim or Don in here? Okay, you got this in an email from Nicole yesterday, but they finally decided what the rules are on names of real estates. And this is the one, agents are prohibited from advertising listings that do not belong to their brokerage. This includes, look at number 2, pending listings where you are the buyer's agent. I know a lot of us do that a lot, but it looks like the MREC is saying that's a no-no now. So anyway, I want to get exact from the brokers on that, but I saw that come through. What is this?
Active listings and sold listings?
From what I'm understanding, you cannot do it without permission from the other agent or the client on that side.
Does that mean the MLS listing or you can just do a picture?
That's where we're gonna get clarification from the brokers. Also, oops, I jumped ahead one. Real estate teams advertising. Oh my goodness. There we go. Team names can no longer include the following: realty, guess what? That's me. Brokerage, company. They did say for a while it could have that, powered by Keller Williams. So I'm gonna get some clarification, but again, this is what was just sent to Jim the other day. We want to hear from Jim and Don on this to make sure we've got it all exactly right. But there are some changes, and like Adam said, the bullseye's on us. People look at us because we're innovative, and so realize people are gonna try and look for things we're doing wrong. So just be aware of these things. We'll get more clarification on that next week too. Real quick on our people that are here. USA Mortgage in here. Casey, anything of importance?
Rates are actually just roller coaster right now, so just make sure your people are staying up to date on their pre-qualifications and basically it.
Okay, do we have HSA, Legal Land, or Onward in here? Anybody else, please say who you are, what you're doing real quick. Go ahead.
Ryan Barnes with Health Markets. I'm a licensed agent broker. I have over 100 different carriers that I can find the best policy for your needs. So it's enrollment period and holler at me if you need any help.
Very cool. Amy?
Amy Hensaker Williams with the Collective Home Staging. Please check out 1938 South Pickwick. The listing went live this morning and I also had the opportunity to stage it.
Cool. Michael?
Jonathan Rothaus, 4173 Kiwi, get your locks changed, so.
Very cool.
Adam McGrath, Comparion Insurance Agency.
Sir? Nope, never mind. I'm seeing too, anybody else I'm missing? Okay, I know I'm going fast because I want to get through all these things here. The calendar's nuts for October. There are so many trainings, and like I said 3 or 4 weeks ago, we're never going to apologize for having too many trainings. Because where I was before, training was Thursday from 1 to 3, and guess what? There's nothing to train there anymore. But we got business planning clinic. Seriously, it went away. It dissolved. Business planning clinic tomorrow. Nicole, we still have spots available, correct?
Yep, there's still spots available. Please sign up for the Google form because it will get you your digital copy of your materials, and or if you would like to have the physical copy of it, we do have a few of those left for $15.
Who's teaching this stuff? These are people who know what they're doing. Learn from them. 72 sold. That's something coming up. We'll talk about that later. There's Jordan's first thing. His second thing, like I said, October is crazy. Trunk or treat or costume contest and chili cook-off on the 27th, which is also the day of GSBOR, Pink Party, and Women's Council Realtor events. So we got a lot of conflicts. Try and get to everything you can. That's in November. And we'll get into more of these deeper because we're already a little bit over time what we like to do. Family reunion, mark your calendars, February 18th through 21. That's gonna be awesome. Don't call anybody you're not supposed to. Don't get sued. Don't bring litigation upon Keller Williams, Greater Springfield. Golf tournament. That's a new cool one. That's next Tuesday. Tim is doing a quantum leap for the Women's Council of Realtors at Relics on October 13th. This is a great entry-level event to get people connected to Keller Williams. They will go to events off-site. So Tim's got it's like a mini version of Quantum Leap. Please go to that, bring friends, bring other agents, because that's gonna be a cool way to start conversations. Go from the water skiing to the scuba diving. Halloween party, that is at the board, it's actually at Farmers Park. This is to help build the legacy or the Leadership Academies project for this year, which is Burl Health Systems calls or what you call visits for agents in struggling situations. This is a cool project. It's gonna be a fun party. And there's the Women's Council of Realtors event. That is gonna be neat. It's at Highland Springs this year. It's never been there before. And Pink Party's on there also. Like I said, the calendar for October is crazy. Stats for the week. I've put these out already. You've seen them, but here's the big one. We finally went over 1,300 listings. We've not been there since pre-COVID, but again, we're still half where we should be or more. Okay, so that's a quick sum up of calendar. I always like on Monday, on the first week of the year, to spend first week of the month, spend more time with our guests, because that's much more important because the stats we can get later. Nicole, did I miss anything?
Nope, just get signed up for everything. Please come. They are awesome, awesome trainings that we are having this next month. So if you have questions on it, please come see me.
Thank you for being online. Thank you for being here. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Let's go, sister.